Welcome dear students to my channel again. So let's start with the 12th problem for the day. So question says, three identical coins are tossed together. What is the probability of obtaining all heads, exactly two heads, exactly one head, and number 4, that is no head. Okay, so we have seen the cases where we tossed two coins, but this time we are tossing three coins. Okay, so when we toss three coins, the possible outcomes will be head head head, head head tail, head tail head, head tail tail, tail head head, tail head tail, tail tail head, and tail tail tail. So basically if I count the outcomes, this is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So there are how many outcomes? There are total 8 outcomes. Okay, so let us take one case at a time. So number 1 is getting all heads. So out of this we get heads in all cases only during this time. That means getting all head means getting HHH. Okay, so what is the number of favorable outcome? Here obviously number of favorable outcome is 1 because we get head only once, right? So that's why number of favorable outcome will be 1 here. Is that clear? Okay, now the probability of getting all heads. So using this formula we have number of favorable outcome. How much? It is 1. And what is total number of possible outcome? It is 8. So that's why my answer is going to be 1 by 8. Now let's go to the second case, that is getting exactly two heads. Now only in these three cases we see that we get exactly two heads. Here we get three heads. Okay, so it is not exactly two heads. So we get exactly two heads only in these three cases if you see out here. So that's why my number of favorable cases will be 3 here. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. So the probability of getting exactly two heads using this formula is going to be 3 by 8. Number of favorable outcome is 3 and total number of possible outcome is 8. So that's why it's going to be 3 by 8. So you may pause the video to note down. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So before we move on to the next question, I have not done two parts from the earlier questions, so I expect you to do those two parts by yourself. Okay, so let's begin with question number 13. A book contains 92 pages. A page is chosen at random. What is the probability that the sum of the digits in the page number is going to be 9? That means there is a book which contains 92 pages and you are just choosing one page from the book. Okay, and you find some page number in that, right? So the question is asking, add the digits of that page number. Suppose if I choose 12 pages, page number 12, then what is the sum of the digit? It's going to be 1 plus 2, that is 3, right? So in the same way, this question is asking what is the probability that sum of the digits in the page number is going to be 9. Okay, that means see, we have got 92 pages, so that's why number of favorable outcome is going to be 90. Number of possible outcomes is going to be 92 here. Is that clear? Okay, now our aim is to get a page number such that the sum of the digits will be how much? It's going to be 9. Okay, so the possible outcomes will be either 9, yes, because here we have got only single digits, so that's why the sum itself is going to be 9. Other one has to be 18. 1 plus 8 is 9, 2 plus 7 is 9, 3 plus 6 is also 9, 4 plus 5 is also 9, 5 plus 4 is 9, 6 plus 3 is 9, 7 plus 2 is 9, 8 plus 1 is 9, and 9 plus 0 is also 9. Okay, so these are the possible outcomes. That means let's see what is the favorable number of outcomes. So there is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 and 10. So basically we see that the number of favorable outcome here is 10. Is that clear? So probability of getting a page number whose sum of the digits is 9 will be equals to, using this formula, 10 by 92, and after cancellation you will see that this will be 5 by 46. So pause the video to note down. Now let's have a look at this question. So on the basis of this questions, the last two questions are somewhat similar to this, so you will try them by yourself. Okay, so question says two coins are tossed together. Okay, so whenever two coins are tossed together, the possible outcomes will be these, right? Okay, now what is the probability that at least one head appears in the first case, and in the second case both heads or both tails. So let's see each problem one by one. So the first case is getting head at least once. Okay, so at least one head means minimum head you have to get is 1. So that means you can have maximum of 2, right? At least means minimum. Okay, so minimum one head you have to get. So there is no restriction in the upper limit. So that means the maximum value can be anything. And here here it is for sure that the highest value will be 2 heads. Okay, so that's why my possible outcomes will be this one, and this one. So that means favorable number outcome is 3, right? So probability of getting at least one head will be using this formula 3 by 4. Okay, so we are done with the first problem. Now let's go to the second part. So second part says getting both heads or both tails. That means either it has to be HH or TT. So what is the favorable number of outcome? It is 2 here. So the probability using this formula will be 2 by 4, which is nothing but 1 by 2. So pause the video to note down. Now let us move on to the next question. So from 10 identical cards numbered from 1 to 10. Okay, so there are 10 cards and each card is numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Okay, and you are drawing one card at random. Find the probability that the number on the card is a multiple of, so there are various questions given here. I'll take 1 and 4 for you. Okay, so let's see. So total number of outcome here. Total number of outcome here is 10, right? Okay, because we have got cards numbered from 1 to 10. Is that clear? So let me take the first problem. So in the first one, we have to find the probability that the card drawn is a multiple of 2. So what are the multiples of 2 from 1 to 10? The multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. That means number of favorable outcome here is, how many numbers are there? It is exactly 5. So that's why favorable number outcome will be 5 here. Now using the formula, we have our answer to be 5 by total number outcome, that is 10. And what is 5 by 10? It is 1 by 2, right? Now let's move on to the fourth question. Okay, let me give you hint for second and third. Second is the same one like this. Okay, so you don't have any problem with that. But here we see that the number has to be a multiple of 2 and 3. That means the multiple of 2 and 3 should be equal to the multiple of 6, right? Okay, so the number which I choose has to be multiple of both 2 and 3. That means the number chosen has to be a multiple of 6. So this means the number has to be a multiple of 6. Okay, so you will try 2 and 3 by yourself. Let's move on to the fourth question. So the number which I choose has to be a multiple of 2 or it has to be a multiple of 3. Okay, so if I see these numbers, this is a multiple of 2. Okay, this is not a multiple of 2, but this is a multiple of 3. So this can also be chosen. Similarly, 4 can be chosen because it is a multiple of 2. Although it is not a multiple of 3, but still this can be chosen. Similarly, we can choose 6, 8, 9 and 10. So if I count how many numbers are there are exactly 7 numbers. So that's why favorable number outcome will be 7 here. Okay, so using formula, the probability of getting a multiple of 2 or 3 will be 7 upon 10. Okay, so pause the video to note down. Now let's move on to the last question for the day, because there are 2 homeworks which I have given you, that is 17 and 18. Okay, so with that we close the chapter. So question says 2 dice are thrown. So this time we are not throwing coins and all, we are throwing dice at the same time. Find the probability that the sum of the 2 numbers appearing on top of the dice is 0, 12, less than 12 and less than or equal to 12. So let us see what are the possible outcomes if I throw 2 dice. So the possible outcomes will be, you may see either 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. Okay, and in this way you may see the possible outcomes. Okay, so it can be any one of these. So basically if you count here, there are 36. Okay, so if you count here from here to here till here it's going to be 36. Okay, so I have not written total number of outcome, but total number of outcome you will write by yourself. So after this you will write total number of outcome equals to 36. So our first case is getting sum to be 0. Now if you see here, if you add each of them you won't get 0, right? So do you get a 0 when you throw two dice together? No, right? So you don't get the sum of the digits to be 0. So that's why number of favorable outcome here is 0. So that's why the probability is going to be 0 here. Okay, so we are done with the first case. Now let us go to the second case, that is getting sum as 12. Now if you add all these, for example, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4. Okay, so if you add in such a manner, you won't find 12 anywhere except this. Okay, so when you get 6 and 6 on both the dice, then only you'll get the sum to be 12. So that's why number of favorable outcome is going to be 1 here. Okay, because only in one case you are getting the sum to be 12. So that's why number of favorable outcome here is 1. Okay, so using the formula, my answer is going to be number of favorable outcome 1 and total number of possible outcomes. So all these are in 36 numbers. So it's going to be 1 by 36. So you may pause the video to note down these much. Let's move on to the third question. So less than 12. So if you see here, only this is giving me 12. Others are giving me less than 12, right? So that's why favorable number of outcome will be 35 here. Okay, so only this is giving me 12, or all others, that is the remaining 35, are giving me sum less than 12. So that's why number of favorable outcome is 35 here. So that's why probability will be equals to 35 by 36. Now let's move on to the last part, less than or equal to 12. So less than means the same case, right? Less than 12 means the same case. So there are 35 numbers, but there is a case where it is said that it can be equal to 12 also. That means we can include this as well. So altogether how many numbers are there? So there are exactly 36 numbers, right? So number of favorable outcome is also 36. So that's why my probability is going to be 36 by 36, which is 1. Okay, so pause the video to note down. Okay, so you'll try this sum by yourself. You'll try question number 18 also by yourself. So with this, we close the chapter on probability. Thank you very much.